Generani students. Today we are going to start class 10th social science economics, and we will be doing chapter 2nd sectors of Indian economy. In this lecture we will study about the classification of sectors. We will see that how they can be classified, and in detail we will study about the primary, secondary and tertiary sectors. So if you see in this slide, the sectors of Indian economy can be classified on three bases, or you can say in three categories. First is on the basis of nature of economic activities, and in this category we can classify them in three parts: primary sector, secondary sector or tertiary sectors. And I'm sure that you have studied about them in the previous classes as well. In this lecture also we will deal with them in detail in the upcoming slides. See the second category or second basis of classification. On the basis of employment conditions, we can classify them in two groups or two parts, that are organized sector and unorganized sector. Third, on the basis of ownership. If you want to classify them on the basis of ownership, you can classify the sectors as public sector, private sector or the joint sector. We will be dealing with them in detail in the upcoming lectures, but in today's lecture we will study about primary sector, secondary and tertiary sector. So see the primary sector. जब भी हम किसी गुड्स को नेचुरल रिसोर्सेज से प्रोड्यूस करते हैं तो उन एक्टिविटीज को हम प्राइमरी सेक्टर के एक्टिविटी कहते हैं. When we produce a good by exploiting natural resources, it is an activity of the primary sector. For example, if you see farming, it is done with the use of land and water and other natural resources. So primarily we are using natural resources to produce farm products. Also, the animals that we breed for milk and other things like flesh, then these animals are also naturally available to us. They are natural resources for us. If you see the activities of mining, then the minerals which are extracted from the land. So land is what? Land is a natural resource. We are using a natural resource to extract minerals. Also, if you see the forestry, then forest is a natural resource from where we get woods, etc. So these activities which involve the use of natural resources are called the activities of primary sector. And since most of the natural products we get are from agriculture, dairy, fishing, forestry, these are primary sector activities. So we also call it as agriculture and related sectors. So there can be two terms, primary sector and agriculture and related sector. Both refer to the same. You can see here in this slide that there are four activities, for example, shown in this slide, which are primary sector activities. First one is the farming activity, second is animal rearing, and third one is forestry. Fourth we see as fishery. So fishing, mining, forestry, animal rearing and agriculture, these all are activities of primary sector. Secondary. नाउ अगर हम प्राइमरी सेक्टर की एक्टिविटी के जो प्रोडक्ट्स होते हैं उनकी बात करें तो बहुत बार उनको डायरेक्टली यूज ना करके उनको प्रोसेस किया जाता है इन सम इंडस्ट्रीज एंड देन दे बिकम यूजफुल फॉर अस. फॉर एग्जांपल, इफ यू टॉक अबाउट द फॉरेस्ट्री, then the woods that we get from the forest are not directly used. They cannot be used. You cannot use a log of wood to make your guests sit. आप अपने मेहमानों को एक log of wood पे नहीं बैठाएंगे. You need a chair for them, a sofa for them. So they are not directly used. Yeah, they can be used but not in many forms. Like आप उसको आग जलाने के लिए use करते हो, but these actually are not very much useful in various conditions or in various forms. They cannot be useful. But if you process them in the factories, then from the same log of wood you can make chairs, you can make tables, you can make other furnitures. Dining tables are there, and you can make sofas from them, you can make doors from them for your house. So there are a number of items that you can produce using the manufacturing process. तो हमने क्या सीखा दैट प्राइमरी सेक्टर से जो भी प्रोडक्ट आया उसको हम कभी कभी क्या करते हैं, वी डू नॉट यूज देम डायरेक्टली, बट वी नीड टू further manufacture them to make them more useful. And this manufacturing is exactly what we call secondary activity, or it is the secondary sector. Like if you use sugar cane, example of sugar cane, then sugar can be manufactured from the sugar cane. So sugarcane is a primary activity product, but sugar is a product of industry. So it needs to be processed. The sugarcane is processed and then the sugar is produced. तो यहाँ पर क्या हुआ, मैन्युफैक्चरिंग का यूज हुआ. मैन्युफैक्चरिंग प्रोसेस के थ्रू एक प्राइमरी प्रोडक्ट को हमने सेकेंडरी सेक्टर में ला करके प्रोसेस किया और फिर उससे जो प्रोडक्ट बना उसको हम फर्दर वेरियस फॉर्म्स में यूज कर सकते हैं. So the secondary sector covers activities in which natural products are changed into other forms through ways of manufacturing that we associate with industrial activity. अब क्योंकि बहुत से जो मैन्युफैक्चरिंग की एक्टिविटीज होती हैं दे आर डन इन इंडस्ट्रीज, तो हम इसको इंडस्ट्रियल सेक्टर भी कह सकते हैं. फॉर एग्जांपल, using cotton fibers from the plants, we spin yarn and weave cloth, and then we make garments. So this process of using the raw cotton and turning it into the garments is a manufacturing process, and this is done in industries, so we also call it industrial process. So the secondary sector can also be called industrial sector. Now see some examples of industrial sector. तो आप यहाँ पर देख सकते हो that someone is stitching clothes, and the other one image shows that someone is making some products using bamboo, and you can see that garment factory is there, and so there can be numerous examples of the secondary sector. You can take any one of them for your answers. The secondary sector covers activities in which natural products are changed into other forms, okay, as mentioned earlier. Now see the tertiary sector. Now this tertiary sector is very important for primary sector and secondary sector both. In fact, this sector supports them. Without this tertiary sector, primary and secondary sector activities cannot be completed successfully. Because when you produce a natural product and you want to process it in the industry, you will have to transport it from the fields or from wherever you have produced that natural product to the factory where they have to be processed. And for that, you need a transportation medium, either trucks or anything that you want to hire for transportation. This transportation facilities is in fact tertiary sector activity. If someone is transporting goods from one place to another, this is a tertiary activity. Similarly, communication system, banking system, storage facilities, these all are tertiary activities. And you see that primary and secondary both products need to be transported. Both the sectors need to communicate with the other parties for their sale and purchase. Banking services are essential for payments. Definitely, the big amounts cannot be paid in cash. There is a need to pay them by check or draft. So banking services are also involved in these activities. So overall, you see that primary and secondary sector activities are supported by tertiary activities. There is a transport facility provided by tertiary sector. There is storage facility. You often hear about the cold storage. Those products that are prone to be perish, जो सड़ने गलने वाले items होते हैं, foods and vegetables, they have to be stored. If you want to store them for a long time, then we have to store them at cold storage. तो वहाँ पर हमें space लेकर के उसका कुछ rent देना होता है, and then we can store them there and we can preserve them for a longer period of time. Communication facility, we all use communication, but for primary and secondary sector activities where they need to sell and purchase these goods, there is a very essential element of communication. Banking facilities, I already told you. So these are the facilities which are provided by the tertiary sectors. And since these activities generate services rather than goods, so हम इसको service sector भी कह सकते हैं. Also, apart from this storage, transport, communication, etc., there are many other service sector activities which are not actually related to directly this primary and secondary sector. They do not support the primary and secondary sector directly, but they are also service sector activities like teaching. A teacher doesn't provide you any goods in response to your fees, but they are giving you knowledge, they are providing you a service. Similarly, the medical services are there. If you go to a doctor, he will not give you anything, but he will check you and consult you about what medicines you should take to get better. And the police services and etc., the postal services, these are all service sector activities, although they are not providing support to the primary and secondary sectors, but still there are many activities which are governed or which fall in this category. So the tertiary sector is that part of the economic activity where businesses produce services. Okay, so transport, advertising, retail, teaching, healthcare, hotels, these all are service sectors because they provide you services. I hope this is clear. And if you have any doubt, you can ask it in the live sessions. Thank you, students. Jai Narayan.